Hi, I'm Michael Senoff, founder and CEO of HardToFindSeminars.com. For the last 5 years, I've interviewed the world's best business and marketing minds. Now my challenge is to build the world's largest free resource for online, downloadable audio business interviews. I've learned a lot in the last 5 years, and today I'm going to show you the skills you need to survive.
My job in this simply is to position talent, create a strategy, and get it executed on a weekly basis. Area of expertise is business turnaround.
What is a business turnaround?
Business turnaround. A turnaround expert is a guy who goes into a business that is literally on its last leg. The worse shape the business is in, the better. We want to go into the business when it's right at the verge of maybe even filing bankruptcy, and where the expectation is very low.
Okay.
In most cases. And basically take about 6 to 8 months and turn it around. Get it back on its feet, get it back focused on what its core business is, and take it from there.
Kind of like, sounds like buying distressed property, people who can't make their mortgage payments and it's getting ready to go into foreclosure, and you try and snatch it up at a good price, or
similar thing. I mean, I guess something that your listeners would definitely be familiar with is sort of Enron, for example.
Yeah.
Everyone knows about that. Well, they have a the guy's name is won't come off the top of my head, but they have a very popular turnaround guy in that business now. He's a guy who basically, that's all he does, is goes into those type businesses, takes over as he's the CEO, but he's definitely in an interim position, not a job he'll be in 5 years from now. And what they're trying to determine now is, can this be an ongoing entity?
Right.
How do we get this thing focused back on its core business and take it from there? And that's basically what I do.
Now, how did you get into? Tell us about, like, how did you get into this? How did you even get into this?
I spent most of my career, 10 or so years, with GE Capital, in senior management. GE Capital Asset Management, GE Capital Mortgage, and that's sort of what capital does in a lot of cases. Is GE buys a lot of different businesses and integrates them into doing things the GE way. If you were to look at General Electric across the board, GE, when I left, had about 12. GE had 12 businesses, one of which was GE Capital. GE Capital had about 28 businesses.
Okay.
So that kind of, there's a lot of diversification, a lot of different type businesses. So that's kind of where I get all my training from. Left GE in about 97, end of 97, and did my first turnaround, just started on my own, went into consulting, and my first client was pretty large, was Cargill.
Who is Cargill?
Cargill is the largest privately held company in the United States, believe it or not.
Really?
Oh, yeah. The largest privately held company.
What do they do?
It's Coke Industries. Cargill is an agricultural company, as a matter of fact, based in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Okay.
Cargill, C-A-R-G-I-L-L, been around for over 150 years.
All right, well, why don't you take us through that story? This is your first turnaround you did?
Very first one.
All right, start from the beginning. All right, you'd worked with GE Capital for some time. Tell us from the time the phone rang about the first time you even heard about Cargill, and walk us through what you did as specifically as you can, what you were thinking, and how you turned this business around and how it resulted in what was the result.
Okay. I won't mention the name of the business that Cargill had, but because Cargill is pretty large. But I couldn't go into that detail of the name of that particular subsidiary, but I can walk you through it. Got a call one day. I sort of put my feelers out. I was about to launch out on my own, and I got a call one day, actually from a headhunter. And this guy was telling me about this company, Cargill, who, just like when I mentioned it to you, I had never heard of Cargill.
All right.
And he was trying to impress me about how great a company it was. Of course, I was working for what I thought was the greatest company in the world, and in some cases I still think that the GE was. But I went and actually took the flight to go and see about this company that Cargill had started, and it was a financial services company that one arm of their business had started. And they were actually financing mobile homes.
All right, interesting.
They were in the mobile home business. They were actually originating, financing, and servicing mobile home loans.
These are mobile homes, not trailer homes. Like trailer homes that stand still, or mobile homes on wheels?
Homes. We'll call them manufactured. Those are trailer homes also.
Okay.
Not motor homes, the ones that you drive around.
Gotcha.
But manufactured houses, trailer homes.
Okay.
Which is a very large industry. Sort of very cyclical. People get in and get out type of a deal. The margins are pretty good in that industry, so there is some money to be made if you have the right infrastructure and the right business model in place.
All right.
Well, these guys had a very large portfolio, and they had guys who knew how to originate these loans, but they had no clue of how to service the loans once they got them and what to do with them type thing. And if you don't, it's sort of one of these things where if you kill it, you got to know how you're going to eat it. Or if not, you're going to have a lot of rotten meat. To use an analogy.
Right.
Well, they had a lot of rotten meat and did not know what to do with it, and it was sort of killing the entire business, as a matter of fact. So they hired me to come in. This was at the point where they were on the verge of, do we sell this business or do we just dissolve it all together?
Okay. How much paper were they sitting on? How many different accounts?
They had probably about, this wasn't too large, I guess they probably had about $500 million worth of loans.
Okay, existing loans.
Yeah, of existing paper, and they had sort of stopped the origination.
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, they were still doing it sort of in trickles, but not in the mass amount that they were doing. And I don't remember. It was probably about 5,000 to 10,000 loans, something like that. I can't really remember.
Okay.
But they had a pretty large job, pretty decent job, significant investment that these guys had made.
All right.
And so, what you do when you go into a situation like that is you find out sort of, and by the way, I was the fifth guy in. They had already gone through about 5 different people.
Okay.
And so it takes a certain mindset when you go into that situation, because you don't know how long it's going to last. Or if it's going to last at all. So you have to, since this was the first one, this was definitely sort of a leap of faith type of thing. But
so you flew out there?
Exactly. I commuted. Never moved to Minnesota. I just commuted from here every week, basically.
And who'd you meet with on the first meeting?
The very first meeting, I met with the senior vice president of this particular subsidiary of Cargill.
Okay, so y'all you went up to his office and sat down and started talking.
Went to his office, sat down, started talking. First, we had a couple of conversations over the phone.
Okay.
And the conversations over the phone basically were, here's our problem, our delinquency is high, what would you do to help us get our delinquency down? And so I went into, just a few things about how we would do that. Basically, we would sort of stop the bleeding on the front end of it.
Hi, it's Michael Senoff with HardToFindSeminars.com. Thanks for watching this video. Many of my interviews last 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, sometimes even up to 2.5 hours long. They're actual mini seminars, and you've just listened to a short sample of just one of over 117 hours of exciting, hard-hitting, mind-blowing interviews on how to make money in direct mail, advertising, copywriting. I assure you, there is not a resource anywhere on the internet or on the planet that comes close to the free information I provide at HardToFindSeminars.com. So go right now to HardToFindSeminars.com and you'll have free access to 117 hours of audio interviews with typed word-for-word downloadable transcripts and downloadable MP3 files. Please browse some more of the videos or go right directly to HardToFindSeminars.com. Thanks for watching.